10 we'll continue chapter number 10, that is nervous system. In the last session we had to talk about the brain. Okay, the brain, which is one of the important parts of the central nervous system. Okay, today in this session we'll see the other part of the central nervous system, that is the spinal cord. Okay, that is what? Spinal cord. Is what? Yeah, spinal cord. Alright, and beside this we'll also see the other parts of the your nervous system. So basically nervous system is divided into three categories. They are central nervous system, okay, consisting of your brain and spinal cord. Then comes your peripheral nervous system, consisting of the nerves coming from and going to the brain and your spinal cord. Then third one is your autonomic nervous system. Okay, autonomic nervous system consisting of the ganglia and some nerves originated from either side of the backbones. So that way, actually there are three. But in your book, okay, in your standard, it is given of two types. That is central nervous system. Central nervous system, okay, consisting of spinal cord and your brain. Okay, the other one is your peripheral nervous system. Okay, peripheral nervous system. So this peripheral nervous system is further classified into two, that is somatic nervous system, okay, consisting of cranial nerves and spinal nerves. Okay, then other one is your autonomic nervous system. Autonomic nervous system. Okay, so autonomic nervous system consisting of a pair of chain of ganglia and the nerves on the either side of the backbone. Okay, so that way it is given, okay, in your book. So last time we had to talk about this brain. Okay, in the last session we had to talk about the brain. So today we'll start with the spinal cord. Okay, so we'll talk about the spinal cord now. Okay, so this spinal cord is a part of central nervous system, okay, which extends from your medulla, okay, medulla oblongata of the brain, which is the last part of the brain that we had discussed in the last session. So from there, that means your medulla oblongata itself continues with the spinal cord, all right, and extends up to the second lumbar vertebra. Okay, second lumbar vertebra out here. So up to that your spinal cord extends, continues, okay, right from your medulla oblongata, okay, so passing through the neural cavity. So that is your spinal cord. Okay, and this, so lumbar vertebra that I am saying here is that so in class 9 only, when we are going through the skeletal system, that time we had discussed the different vertebrae. Okay, vertebrae, the small bones that constitute your backbone, okay, that constitute your spinal cord here. So that we discussed in class 9 itself. So here there are 31 pairs of such vertebrae in the backbone. All right, so these 31 vertebrae have been distributed in different ways. Like you see here in the neck region, okay, here in the neck region, in the cervical region, there are 8 pairs of vertebrae. All right, and just below there in the thoracic region, 12 pairs of vertebrae. Similarly down there here 5 pairs of lumbar vertebrae, then down there you have 5 pair of vertebrae, and at the end there is 1 pair of coccygeal vertebra. Okay, 1 pair of coccygeal vertebrae. So from each vertebra, you see a pair of what do you call it, your spinal nerves being originated. All right, so in the same here you see, as far as that your spinal cord is concerned, what I have to tell you is that spinal cord you see being originated from your medulla oblongata, or continues from the medulla oblongata and extends up to or ends at the second your lumbar vertebra at the back, just down there. Okay, and here you find both the gray matter and the white matter. So what we had discussed there in the brain, when you were talking about brain, that time also we had discussed about the distribution of the gray matter and white matter. So in the case of brain, that we had found that the outer covering, the outer cerebral hemisphere we found being covered by the gray matter. Okay, gray matter, gray matter made up of the cell body, which we had discussed in the last session, and inside in the medullary region we found the white matter formed of axon. But reverse to that, just opposite to that, here you find the distribution of this gray matter and white matter in the spinal cord. You got to know this thing. Okay, just reverse to that here, which means in the outer covering, okay, in the outer covering of the spinal cord, that is in the outer part of the spinal cord, you find the white matter, not gray matter. Gray matter in the brain. Okay, in the outer part of the spinal cord, there you find outer part, there you find white matter. White matter made up of axons. Okay, and inner part you find gray matter. Okay, made up of cell bodies. Okay, it's just opposite to the distribution of these matters there in brain. Just opposite to that, you see white matter made up of axons in the outer part, whereas gray matter made up of cell bodies in the inner part of this spinal cord here. Okay, and there is a small neural cavity. There is a small neural cavity in the central region of the spinal cord. Okay, neural cavity or neural canal there in the central part of the spinal cord, which is filled with a fluid substance called cerebrospinal fluid. Okay, cerebrospinal fluid is there, which fills the neural canal of the spinal cord. And the function of the cerebrospinal fluid is to, protect the spinal cord from the different kind of shocks. Okay, SHOC. Okay, different kinds of shocks. Okay, sometimes mechanical shocks, sometimes some other kinds of shocks, may affect that, that spinal cord. But this cerebrospinal fluid is there to protect the spinal cord from such shocks. Not only that, so this cerebrospinal fluid also acts as a medium of transporting the different things from one vertebra of the spinal cord to other vertebra, or from one cell to other cells in the spinal cord. So different substances means here you see the respiratory gases, okay, the digested food materials, all right, then also the different kinds of waste products which are to be eliminated out of the body via the excretory organs. So this actually is transported by means of the cerebrospinal fluid also. Okay, it's not only to prevent the shocks, but in the meantime it also does the medium of transportation of these different things there in the spinal cord. All right, so beside this we find all three membranous protective layers out here. Okay, what we have found there in the brain last time. There you see dura mater, okay, outermost present. Then comes your arachnoid. Then the last one is your pia mater. So all these three layers you find covering this your spinal cord. Okay, this is one of the important parts of your central nervous system. Okay, now let us see the functions. What are the functions of the spinal cord? Okay, functions. Number one, this spinal cord is concerned about the following following cases, in fact. So number one, you see reflexes below neck. Okay, your spinal cord is concerned about all the reflex actions taking place below the neck regions. Okay, so you see reflexes means out here the involuntary actions, okay, involuntary activities taking place in the body. For example, you see peristalsis, which means peristaltic movement of the alimentary canal. Then your respiratory movements. Okay, so these are the reflexes. So these reflexes are also controlled by the spinal cord. Okay, number two, it conducts. Okay, it conducts sensory impulses. Okay, so your spinal cord conducts sensory impulses from the receptors. Okay, from the receptors like skin, okay, muscles to the brain. Okay, to the what? Brain. All right, so here impulses, what does it mean, impulses? So impulse means what? What is the difference between impulse and your what do you call it, stimulus? Stimulus means something, some change there in environment which causes change in your activity. That is your stimulus. So this stimulus, as soon as is received by your receptors, by your sensory organs, will be converted into electrical wave or sensation. Okay, so in the form of sensation only, it will be travel to your brain. So that electrical wave or sensation traveling through the nerve is called impulse. Okay, then third one is that it conducts motor responses. Okay, it conducts motor responses, or conducts motor responses. Okay, motor responses means after receiving the such impulses there in the brain, so brain will decide what to do as a response. All right, so that is called motor response. All right, so your spinal cord conducts such motor responses from the brain to the muscles of trunk and limbs, so that these muscles of the trunk and limb give the effect, okay, perform the response. Okay, so these are the functions of your spinal cord. All right, now we'll see your another one, that is your peripheral nervous system. Now we'll see the peripheral nervous system. As I told you, this peripheral nervous system is further categorized into somatic nervous system. All right, somatic nervous system, and the other one is your autonomic nervous system. Okay, so this somatic nervous system consists of cranial nerves and spinal nerves. Okay, that means your peripheral nervous system you see being divided into two systems. They are somatic nervous system and autonomic nervous system. Alright, your somatic nervous system you see being consisted of cranial nerves and spinal nerves. So cranial nerves, okay, so these cranial nerves are those nerves which come from the cranium, okay, which come from the brain box, okay, that is called your cranial nerves. Okay, so there are 12 pairs of cranial nerves. There are 12 pairs of cranial nerves. All right, there are 12 pairs of cranial nerves. Okay, some of them are like you see the olfactory nerves. Okay, olfactory nerves for your nose. Okay, then optic nerve for your eyes. Okay, and also auditory nerves for your ears. Okay, similarly your motor nerves are there. Okay, motor nerves are there going to the muscles of your your eyes. Okay, then also there you find the nerves. Okay, the nerves going to the muscles of the face and tongue. Okay, so these are the your cranial nerves. Okay, then similarly the other group of nerves are there coming from the spinal cord. Okay, originated from the spinal cord. So there are total 31 pairs of your spinal nerves originated from the spinal cord. Okay, 31 pairs of the spinal nerves. Okay, and this 31 pairs of spinal nerves you see being originated from each vertebra of the spinal cord. I have told you 31 pairs right from your cervical region. Okay, so there in the cervical region there are 8 pairs of vertebrae. So from each vertebra one pair of spinal nerve comes. Okay, one pair of spinal nerves you see being originated. So that means from cervical, from the neck region only 8 pairs are there. Okay, then there in the thoracic region, okay, there in the thoracic region you see just adjacent to this here, there you find 12 pairs. Okay, 12 pairs of thoracic vertebrae. Then down there you find, okay, let us see, your first one is your 8, then your there in the your thoracic, this is your cervical, then your thoracic. Okay, then just below there, here in this region you see, then you find lumbar vertebrae, where you find 5 pairs, all in pairs, okay, pairs. So 5 pairs in the lumbar region, and just below the lumbar there is the sacral region, where you find 5 sacral. Okay, then the last one is the 1 pair, all in pair, 1 pair is a coccygeal. Okay, coccygeal here, last one is a coccygeal, where you find 1 pair of spinal cord. Altogether it is 31. This is what? 31 pairs. Okay, so these nerves coming from the brain, okay, which are 12 pairs, then your spinal nerves coming from the spinal cord, 31 pairs, constitute your somatic nervous system. Okay, so constitute your somatic nervous system, and usually those nerves coming from the spinal cord, okay, are mixed nerves. Mixed nerves means the nerves which contain both sensory and motor nerves, because you see your spinal cord. So this spinal cord also acts like a bridge between the receptors and effector organs and the brain. Okay, so that here we find usually the spinal nerves, usually the mixed nerves consisting of both sensory and motor nerves. Okay, then we see the other type of your nervous system called your autonomic nervous system is given here. So autonomic nervous system is the nervous system consisting of a pair of chain of ganglia. Here is a word called ganglia. Okay, a pair of chain of ganglia and the nerves on the either side of your backbone. Okay, on the either side of backbone, that constitute your autonomic nervous system. What is ganglia out here? Or what are ganglia? Ganglia means the plural form of ganglion. So what does it mean? So ganglia must be a new word for you. So ganglia is actually the is a group of neurons clubbed together. A group of nerve cells clubbed together. Okay, and making a very confusing gnarled structure of the nerve cells. Okay, so that is called ganglion. A number of such ganglia and are there in the body. So here you see the autonomic nervous system consisting of a pair of chain of ganglia and other nerves on the either side of your spinal cord. Okay, that constitute the autonomic nervous system, and the function of this autonomic nervous system is to control all the involuntary actions of the body. Okay, involuntary activities of the body now are controlled by your autonomic nervous system. All right, so this autonomic nervous system, okay, controlling all such your involuntary activities perform in two ways. Okay, perform in two ways, that is sympathetic and parasympathetic. Sympathetic and parasympathetic. Okay, sympathetic and parasympathetic. You see, sympathetic means that is two types of actions you see there being performed by the autonomic nervous system. That means it controls all sorts activities in two ways, that is sympathetically and parasympathetically. So sympathetic means what? You see, so this part of this autonomic nervous system usually prepares the body for all the violent actions. Okay, violent means some kinds of abnormal activities. Okay, which is also controlled by your endocrine system, especially the hormone called adrenaline hormone. Okay, which is secreted from your adrenal gland. So that adrenaline also controls this your sympathetic system of this autonomic nervous system. So here what happens is that under the influence of that hormone prepares the body for facing all such emergencies. So that time the activities of the body that your your reflexes of the body, involuntary activities of the body become very abnormal. For example, you see when you are chased by a ferocious bull, okay, when you are going to be attacked by a lion or something like that time how fast you run. So that time if you imagine, what you find is that that time your heartbeat you see being your heartbeat increasing. All right, your blood pressure you see increasing. All right, so the blood flowing into the muscles, that goes very fast. So all those abnormal activities take place that time. So that is called sympathetic. Okay, because this is all taking place under the influence of such emergency hormone also. But afterwards, to control, to bring you back to the normal condition, okay, when everything is over, such emergency is over, then you will be slowly relaxing, so that your heartbeat also comes to the normal level. All right, your pressure also, blood pressure also starts coming back to the normalcy. So this all happens. That means to bring it back to the normalcy, another system is there under the autonomic nervous system itself, that is parasympathetic. Sympathetic and parasympathetic. All right, so there are a number of such sympathetic and parasympathetic activities have been given in the chart. You see page number 130. Page number 130 is there. Here it is given. You see here the chart. So here in sympathetic, what you see is there, heart accelerates heartbeat. That means in the sympathetic system of this autonomic nervous system, usually what happens that heart starts functioning very abnormally. That means heart beats abnormally. Your heart beating accelerates, whereas parasympathetic has to control it. So when it controls, then that heartbeat slowly comes down, it retards. So that way there are number of organs have been given where how these organs behave during the sympathetic system and the parasympathetic system. So all have been given here in the table. Please refer to this table. All right, so that you understand it better. This autonomic nervous system is highly influenced by the emotions, okay, such as anger, okay, grief, fear, okay, sexual stimulations. So these are the emotions. These emotions highly influence this autonomic nervous system. Okay, so if you are emotional for quite long period of time, it may affect your some other health, some other parts of the body. It will cause a lot of health issues, like you see your hypertension, okay, blood pressure may be increased, okay, stomach ulcers may be caused because of the such emotions for long period of time, because these emotions affect our autonomic nervous systems. Okay, so this is all about your autonomic nervous system. So where we found the the nerves, like ganglia and the nerves. Similarly, we even talked about the other part of your peripheral nerves, that is somatic nervous system, consisting of cranial and spinal nerves. Okay, then spinal nerves we just found here: the cervical, thoracic, lumbar, sacral, and coccygeal. Okay, coccygeal, here is a slight mistake out here. Coccygeal. Okay, this one, please correct the spelling. Coccygeal, coccygeal. So that's what we have seen here. Okay, now we'll see reflexes, which means involuntary actions. Okay, involuntary actions. So actually this word reflexes now is derived from the Latin word called refluxes. Okay, refluxes, which means an involuntary quick response or action of the body caused due to a kind of stimuli. Okay, when a kind of stimulus, when there are some stimuli, like you see pain, touch, okay, something like that, due to such changes, due to such stimuli, when a body performs such actions, such quick involuntary actions spontaneously, such actions are called reflexes or reflex actions. All right, so there in the body actually there are two types of activities. We have got two types of actions. Okay, they are voluntary and second one is involuntary. Okay, involuntary, which means reflexes. Okay, so voluntary means those activities which are done, which are under our control, which we do at our will. Okay, they are under our control. That is voluntary, like reading a book or kicking a ball. So this is at our will, which is brought about by our will. But whereas involuntary activities or the reflexes are those which take place spontaneously due to some changes, due to some stimuli like touch, heat, okay, pain, something like that. So they are the involuntary reflexes. Okay, so for example, you see when some dust particles enter into your eyes, so what happens is that your eyes will produce tears. Okay, that means flossing of tears will be there to clean the or to wash out the dust particles. Okay, that is spontaneous. It is not at your will, it is happening itself in response to the dust particles there in the eyes. So that is a reflex action. That is an involuntary action. Okay. Similarly, you find like shivering when you are going to a cold region where the temperature is very low. You are not prepared. Okay. You are not wearing the warm clothes because you did not know the situation out there, the climatic condition out there. So once you reach there, the temperature is too low, so you start shivering. So shivering is a response out there which is not under your control. Okay, so this is stimulated by the very low temperature out there. Okay, so that means it is caused due to such stimulus that is not under your control, which is a reflex action. Okay, similarly, when you happen to touch a hot object, okay, you how fast you withdraw your hand, you do not know. Okay, so that's also a reflex action. That is also an involuntary action caused by that hot object. So here the hot object is a stimulus. Okay, so this is all about involuntary actions or reflexes. So today we'll do only this much. Thank you very much.